Today, I'm talking with Henry Ventura, a developer from San Francisco, creator of Delos, Space Traffic Controller, and Royal Division. Henry, thanks for being here. Do you want to tell us what you're working on now?
Yeah. Hey, John. Thanks for having me and talking with me. So right now I'm working on a game called Delos, and so it's you play as an air traffic controller for a space station, and the main intention behind this was to find aside from aesthetic stuff, the main intention here was to really focus on game design, like getting like a really concise small game design loop, and and executing on that. Whereas with the previous game I worked on, I had a lot of fun making lots of like features, but it never really evolved into like a concise game loop. And so that's really the big focus and priority this time around. And it's already been a lot of fun because I've been able to get in people's hands within like 2 months of development, and it's just been awesome.
I see. So you learned a lot about the game design process with your first game. With this one, did you start with a game design document or how did you approach that design?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that I was trying to do was to define what let's see, I might use like the wrong words, but basically like define what is like game design. So I come from a programming background, so I'm like writing software that solves things, that does things automatically, automates things. Whereas with game design, I realized that, and I'm sure that I don't mean what I'm about to say in a dogmatic way. I just mean in a very small little perspective that I have. To me, game design is you have to artificially manufacture a problem for the user to solve. And so if I strip away everything and try and view that in the most like simple form, like this wouldn't be fun what I'm about to say, but like I think like the most simple form of like a game loop or game design would be you have a button on a page and you have to click it, but the button is grayed out, so you can't click it. And maybe the button only becomes clickable every other second, or you have to click another button to make that button clickable. So it's like manufacturing a artificial problem, that creates the like I did this thing and then it worked.
That's a very interesting way to look at it, and it makes sense. Um, what gave you the original idea to make this space traffic control game?
Let me try and think. I know like the idea has been kicking around my head for a little bit. Okay, so I think I was watching Andor. I was showing my girlfriend Andor because I love that show. But it did this thing that so many shows do, which is you have this huge, heavy ship, huge spaceship, right? Inertia, mass. And what's it doing when it goes to land? It's going really quick in, and then it does a swoop. It does the Hollywood swoop. What are you doing? You know? It's so like I'm just thinking in my head, like if you just show this like spaceship just come in really slowly, make it shake a little bit, and then just have it come gradually to a stop, like that can look good just by itself. You don't need to do a swoop. You don't need lots of like momentum. You just need to convey like fragility or mass. Um, yeah. Now I do want to clarify. I need to do another design pass on the actual ship approaches and docking because it is not like anywhere near as good as I want it to look like. But I had to really prioritize like the actual game design and game loop before really fixating on a cool feature, which is what I would have done in the past.
What is that game loop? Like, what are you actually doing in the game?
Mhm. So I have I have an interest in like flight sims and just simulation games in general. So that's what I was hoping where this would naturally go towards, but where the game design is kind of just from the very beginning just naturally going towards is almost something like Overcooked in space. I don't that's not like my dream for it to be that. Like I do want it to kind of feel like a simulation, where you can where it feels like you're almost role playing as this person. So maybe it'll shift more towards that. But right now, the actual game loop is it's super basic because I've only been working on it for a few months. You have a station. It has credits and resources. It resources drain every second. When you run out of resources, game over. And there are two different kinds of ships that you facilitate with coming to dock at your station. One of them buys resources and the other one sells resources. And so you manage the juggling act of what kinds of ships are you having to dock at your station, so you always have enough money to buy new resources.
So is it like there's a whole bunch of ships out there and you've got to prioritize the order of them?
Yeah, so I can step through like the more of the discrete steps of the game loop, and just stop me whenever. So you have a gate request panel that says like, hey, there'll be like requests inside of it saying like, hey, I'm the ship. I want to buy this many resources for this many credits. Will you grant me access into like your sector? And then if you accept it, the ship appears in this little like gate entry exit gate thing. And then from there, you can only have so many gate requests active a second. So that's the reason for why you want to deny something. So from there, then you are given a docking request from the ship, and you assign it which berth you want it to dock at, like which one's available or which one. And in this process, you need to consider like the path it's taking, so it won't crash into another ship, or else that'll generate an incident report. And after so many incident reports, you lose. Should I keep going in this kind of discrete?
No,
manner?
I think that helps me understand a bit.
Okay, cool.
Can you talk about the tech stack that you're using to build the game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Unreal Engine 5. So the last game I worked on was VR. So it is such a breeze doing this game because I can leverage all of the existing like UI frameworks like Slate and stuff, and like I can use screen space for UI, whereas with VR I couldn't use screen space. So it's really great not having to reinvent the wheel for some of the like basic stuff.
Are you using blueprints or are you doing the C++?
C++.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned being a professional web developer, you're doing web stuff. What kind of languages are you using there?
So right now, so I'm working on this for anyone who is familiar with Google Cloud and who uses Spanner for their databases. I'm working on this tool that does graph visualization, essentially like D3, a bunch of nodes and edges for data in their graph. And so you can run that in a Jupyter Notebook environment or in Google Colab. And so the front end is JavaScript and the back end is Python.
I love Python.
Nice. It's great.
So your other game that you worked on, I saw that you started that by getting an Epic Mega Grant. Is that right?
No, I applied for one. I didn't get it.
I see. Okay. That's too bad. I have a little bit of experience because my wife is in architecture and she actually got an Epic Mega Grant to do like a VR architecture project.
Whoa. Cool.
So yeah, the Epic Mega Grants are pretty interesting.
Congratulations to her. It's awesome.
So the game is single player. Yeah.
So with Royal, are we talking about Royal Division?
Back to Delos.
Yeah. So it's single player, but I just thought it'd be really cool to have a chat window in there where you can communicate to all connected clients as well.
So there's like a server that you're running that actually connects all the single player clients to talk to each other.
Yeah. And if you want to talk about that at all, I'm more than happy to dive into the whole like tech stack with that as well, because that's been super fun.
Yeah, sure. Are you building that from scratch or are you using some assets?
Yeah. So it just started out as like a super simple Python server with WebSockets. And I'm using this service called Render to deploy it. It takes a GitHub repo and you just give it, the deploy command like Python in this file. It's been super simple. I was able to get that up in like a day. And then so that was unreal feeling, that feeling of like when I typed in here, then it would be the first test of this was, so I wanted to be able to talk to users when they're playing, when I'm not playing. Because like, what if someone's in there and they're like, what the heck do I do? Like, how the heck do I use this game? And when someone's about to have a bad experience because it's janky and hasn't been worked on for a while, I want to have some kind of ability to hopefully salvage their experience and make it a little better. So what I did is I have a Discord channel, and it forwards the messages in game to that Discord channel. So I can, from my phone, I can be like, oh, hey, like, someone will ask a question like, how the heck do I do this? What am I supposed to do? I open up my phone and I can talk right back to them. The messages from Discord then get forwarded to the game. And then, yeah, it's awesome.
So everybody that's playing is connected into like one chat room.
Yeah.
That's cool. I actually did something similar once with a Minecraft server where the chat from the server went into a Discord channel, and so it was all connected.
Oh, nice. Could you tell me a bit about that?
Well, I used to run for my dev dungeon. I have the YouTube channel and I have a Discord server, and I had a Minecraft server. I used to do some live streaming on like how to make plugins. So I think there's a live stream somewhere of me actually implementing that. But that
cool.
server's dead now. Nobody really played on it. So
when you say plugins, is this like a Minecraft thing?
Yeah, Minecraft plugins in Java.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't really. That was, years ago. I took a few years off from the Dev Dungeon channel before I started again doing this interview style with focusing on game developers.
Oh, cool. What inspired you to hop back on and start doing this? It was a real treat to hear you reach out and be like, hey, like, you want to talk? I'm like, heck yeah, I want to talk.
Probably a mix of social aspect, like it's nice meeting people and networking, and also just trying to bring some life back to the Dev Dungeon channel.
Cool. Sweet. Well, I'm happy you did it.
Yeah, glad to have you here. It's always interesting learning about the process and everything. You with your assets, I'm curious, are you making all the assets, the models and the music? What are you doing there?
Right. So the intention, if revenue supports it, is to have like all the work done through like artists commissioned for it. Right now, I'm just using marketplace assets. I have been able to spin up, like within the little budget I have been able to spin up some really awesome concept art for some ships. I would like love to be able to plug them in any way because the artists are awesome. They also helped me provide some concept art for the previous game, Royal Division. One guy's name is Kruger. His spaceships are just like unbelievable. I have this really cool it's almost like the spaceship equivalent of a big cruise liner, and it kind of looks like a whale. It's just so cool. So I'm like desperately trying to figure out how to spin up a 3D modeling commission to make that a reality. And then Adele, he concepted the mech for Royal Division. That guy is just awesome. Like I have him to thank for Royal Division being what it was, because he was the person who came up with the just such an awesome and imaginative mech design. It's so cool.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff too. Are you looking for a publisher, or are you trying to self-publish?
Yeah, self-publish this time because like right now my main priority is so I was, for the past couple of years, I was living kind of scrappy with in terms of income, because I was doing Royal Division and getting in I'm very grateful that I was able to work on it for some time. But I needed to switch gears to go back into tech because I'm 34 right now. I want to start being able to save up for a house and to be able to be have a family and stuff. So so basically I've gone back to taking up software contract work, like for that Google gig, and while also applying for full-time positions, which I've been really slow to do. And then I'm letting myself get distracted by doing Delos, which is just the most fun thing in the world. I'm so addicted, man. It's awesome. Um, and so would it be awesome if, I mean, it would be awesome if all of a sudden like that was able to be self-sustaining financially and I could just work full time on that, build up a team around it. Like, sure, that'd be super tight. But yeah, who knows?
Have you considered doing a Kickstarter or anything like that?
I have like this is as far as the thought of it has gotten, which is like, like I wonder if I should put up a Patreon. Then that's really as far as I'll let the thought go.
Yeah, I just did an interview yesterday with Serio Art Games, who make Occulto, and they did a Kickstarter and raised about $10,000 from about 200 backers, and I
Oh,
can
nice!
connect you with
Congrats.
them, and they can share some of their insights. They talk about it a little too there. I'm going to be posting that one probably today. But
Cool.
yeah, you don't necessarily have to do like a massive Kickstarter. Um, and yeah, there's people interested in your game, which is awesome. Do you have playtesters who are giving you feedback?
So yeah, like basically probably around the time that you came across the tweets I was putting out, I then started handing out CD keys to just anyone who's been interacting with me in the past. Um, and so I've been lucky enough to get some feedback from people. Um, Today, just before this, someone just had a 49-minute play session, and I'm just thinking, like, dude, this guy fit time almost an hour of his day, to like try out this thing that I made. Like, I feel really privileged for that. That's so cool.
So, speaking of playtime, how do you progress in the game? And is it just like you play and see how long you can go, or is it something you reload and keep playing your same game at day
Uh,
after day?
So all right, there's like two different like things. There's one that's right now, and two that'd be really like an intention to aspire towards. Right now, it's just like there's no persistence. It's just you hop in and you just see how long you can survive. Um, there's no progression or anything, but that is 100% something that um, needs to be built out. There's so many different avenues that can be taken for progression, like upgrading your space station and all the different ways that can manifest. Um, like maybe attracting different types of clientele. Even having like right now in the game, you see everything externally, but what if there was like a tab where it's like you click on it and it shows like there's a bar inside of there to like, and that's kind of the interface for seeing like how the VIP people there are doing. I don't know. I mean, those are all just ideas, but right now it's just a really simple like how long can you survive? But the intention is not to be there. It's to be more be more substantial.
Do you have any ideas or aspirations to make it multiplayer?
Okay. I'm totally open to it, and I think if enough people uniformly said, "I wish I could interact with another player in this very specific way," it would be very hard for me to say no to that and just drop everything I'm doing and work on that because like for some reason just this silly like chat thing is just so awesome. Like being able to talk to people in I guess a medium when we think we wouldn't be able to because it's single player. So like, what if we can have some more of these little interactions where, like in space, like a big theme is like loneliness, right? Because you're just out there, and so that creates a really great medium for like how can we create ways for people to connect in that and to feel like they shared this thing that kind of took a little bit of a journey to do. Like maybe they like collaborate resources to then build like an outpost further away or something. You and I were briefly talking about Eve Online before the recording, and there's so much that God we could probably talk about with that.
Yeah, that game has been live since 2004, I think, and they constantly have just been adding to it. dozens of expansions that are all free, just like as part of the game. So that's one of those games that just kind of like the universe, just ever expanding. So yeah, I think you potentially have a lot of cool things you could do with your game. What platforms does it run on? Can I play it on Linux?
Right now, just PC. I have to look at how to package it for Mac. Luckily, I do have a MacBook, so I think I can package it. The complexity of the game is so low at its current point that I think that it could be translated well to mobile, but I just don't have the bandwidth to do that right now. It's like I need to make it good on one platform, and I'm consolidating Mac and PC under the same platform, like a desktop interface. I need to make it good on one platform before making it like mediocre on two platforms.
Do you have a release date in mind?
Yeah, April 7th is the soonest time that Steam is allowing me to release it. So that's when it'll be playable. If this video is out there before April 7th, and people are seeing this and want to just play it now, just reach out to me. I'll give you a CD key because I'm just going to sell it for $3. So just it means more to me that someone gets to just play it, you know. So if the $3 is, if you don't want to worry about that, just reach out to me. I'll give you a CD key.
And that date is not for the demo. That's your intended full release.
Yeah, and by full release, it's just like here's this really small self-contained experience for $3, but if I can like budget it in, I would love to keep building upon it and turn it into, you know, a bigger thing. The intention is definitely, the desire is there. And so if there is a means, I will do it.
Are there any cheat codes for your game?
There's an admin debug panel, which I haven't removed. I was figuring I just put it in like the top right or something and just leave it there. What's any ideas on a cheat code that should be in there?
Well, resources is probably the first thing that comes to mind. Like, give yourself more resources to keep your game going. Give yourself unlimited resources, probably the first thing that comes to mind. But if you've got a panel like that, probably a lot of developers interested in your game. My audience is largely developers. And if you have like a console where they can start typing in commands or like modifying parameters of the game, they would go crazy with that.
Cool. Thanks for saying that.
Is there anything that has been a technical challenge that has been particularly hard or unexpected?
Let me think for a second. Okay, there's probably something better than what I'm about to say right now, but this is the first thing that comes to mind. I thought it was going to be easy to use a bunch of PID controllers for to automate the ship's movements, in like a 0G way. And I figured that like this would be the easiest way by using a bunch of PID controllers for its pathfinding. That would be the easiest way to make it look good, because it's easy to add in like a little bit of turbulence with that for aesthetic purposes to make it look like the ships, give the ships like a nice like visual aesthetic to how they move. But I had like a really basic implementation of it working, but then just as I tried to up the quality, all the PID, my implementation of like the PID controllers just ended up kind of breaking down. So I moved away from that towards just a like a non-physics approach for how the ships move, which is not what I want, but I do intend on taking another step back and being like, what is the approach that I can take to, make the ships just look really good when they dock, when they're 10 meters above the platform and they come down and dock, like just making that look really good. And yeah. But I haven't gotten the implementation yet. So yeah, it's been harder than I thought.
What are the PID controllers?
Oh yeah. So a PID controller is like, I don't know if I can do like the elevator pitch for a PID controller. A PID controller is like, I have this, okay, let's say I'm a self-driving car, and there's a stop sign ahead of me. And so I need to apply the brake. Let's normalize the brake input value between 0 and 1. I need to apply the brake at different values based off of like my speed and distance and all that stuff. And so it's not always a linear function, because like, what if you're on a hill? Like, what if you're on an incline and you actually shouldn't even apply the brake until you get to the stopping point, because you actually have to keep applying the gas, like, or else you're going to roll backwards, right? So it's these things where, so you have these like really dynamic situations, and a PID controller is this like magic function which has been around for a while. I don't understand how they work. It's a magic function where you give it an error float, and based off that error float, so in this case, the error will be the distance. So anything above 0 is like, means that you're not there, between you and the stop sign. So you give it in an error float and it will return back a float to you. And this will be some normalized value that then you'd apply to whatever, be it gas or brake or something. And there's a couple like config floats as well, which dictate how it does its thing. But it's so cool.
So with your first game, you learned a lot about scoping and everything. Is there anything that you've learned through this game that you kind of wish you knew or you would do differently with your next game?
Yeah, dude, if I could go back in time with Royal Division, I wish that I got a build out in the people's hands in the first 3 months. Like, I wish I got this imperfect, janky thing in people's hands right away. And then just iterated from there. And so I put all this, like I have this fear of putting something out there that's not good enough. And then, as we all know, like, it's never going to reach this bar that we have in our head, right? So it's at some point, you just got to do it. You got to put it out there. And I think if I had done that, Royal Division would have been, I was going to say like financially self-sustainable, but even more important than that, like it would have been installed on people's computers and they would have been able to play it. Like, there's people out there who want to do it and would probably just be more than happy to be in the cockpit with a semi sandboxy experience. They would have been happy with that. And I just feel really bad for not doing that. Yeah.
Well, Henry, it's been great talking to you about Delos Space Traffic Controller. Before we go, is there anything else you'd like to plug?
No.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll share all your links with the video so people can find your stuff.
Cool.
But again, it sounds really fun, and I wish you the best. And maybe we can catch up again once you get a release out.
Thanks, John. Yeah. If you're ever in San Francisco, hit me up. We can, grab a coffee or drink or something.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was nice talking with you.